evening. We'll call to order the Ordinance Committee meeting. Tonight we have two matters pending before us on the agenda. Council, we are going to start with Council Order 2016-287, Ordinance, the adoption of Section 193 of Chapter 218 of the Acts of 2016. This is proposing acceptance of a provision of the Municipal Modernization Act that allows your community to establish a fundamental speed limit of 25 miles per hour on public ways. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Council King.
Present.
Council Kroll.
Present.
Council DeBona.
Present.
Council Finn. Council Harris. Council Morris.
Present.
Council Liang. Present. Council Calmucci.
Present.
Council Hughes.
Present.
8 members.
Okay, pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. With that, on the ordinance, pending before us, Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for using the before I speak. As I'm sure in this case, many of my colleagues, in this case with many of my colleagues, traffic congestion, speeding are among the most frequent concerns I hear from my residents. As we are constantly looking for ways to make our streets safer, both for drivers and pedestrians, I was thrilled that Governor Baker signed a law supported by our state legislators that allows cities and towns and across the Commonwealth to reduce the default speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25. So, before us tonight is an ordinance that would adopt this language of state law. And I truly believe that adoption will have a great benefit to our residents. Under this speed law, the city speed limit will be 25 miles per hour unless posted otherwise. That 5 miles per hour can and will make a difference in the safety of our residents. There are countless studies that show speed, even 5 miles per hour, can make a difference in the severity of injuries resulting from accidents. Getting folks to slow down on our neighborhood streets is a great step in the right direction. To date, the City of Boston, the City of Somerville, the City of Newton, and 9 other communities across the state have adopted the new default speed law. And I would urge my colleagues to support Quincy joining this group. Having said that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Anyone else on the motion? Sure. The other, we're going to go around well with some comments. We do have in the audience Lieutenant Professor from the Quincy Police Department, so if we would at some point want to bring him forward for testimony, we can open up to comments or anyone would mind to go there first. Would that be appropriate? Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant Professor.
We appreciate you being with us this evening to give a perspective of the Quincy Police Department on the 25-mile landmark implementation.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm sure I pretty much met everyone. My name is Rick McCusker, Lieutenant with the Quincy Police, currently assigned to the Special Operations Unit. As far as lowering the speed limit, it's been the policy of the Quincy Police, and it will continue to be that we will enforce whatever the mayor of the council deems necessary to keep the city streets safe. Basically, I can speak personally to the fact that I've been in neighborhoods, and I'm sure some of you requested us there. And with one radar, it's not so much a problem with speed as it is volume. So I can speak to that fact as you make the decision on lowering the limit.
So two things we have before us, the new technology, the speed radar equipment a lot of us have had installed throughout the neighborhoods. It's really been great as far as collecting data. What time day vehicles coming, how many vehicles are coming down the street, which direction they're coming down the street, and this, the speed and what is happening during the day, during the afternoon, kind of the typical rush hour of the school pickup time, is often a time we've seen some increases. So that has been great tools for us out in the neighborhood. And then of course, the SOU doing a lot of the enforcement, so we are grateful for that. With that, I think we're going to go to Councilor Kane, and we may be calling you up for some Q&A, so hang tight. Councilor Kane.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I want to commend Bill Harris for this. I think this is a great idea, and following along with other cities and towns that have done this. Traffic is one of the top issues that has been presented to me since I've been on the council here, and it's most often with speeding, especially through neighborhoods. And one of the most surprising things that I learned is that when we started talking about pedestrian issues last year, and people getting hit by cars and whatnot due to people speeding and not paying attention, and for numerous reasons, whether they're on their phone or they're not paying attention, when they're making it in the car, I see that all the time. But it's something that needs to be changed mentally, right? So people need to be more cognizant of how they drive. And I know that even just putting an article out there into the Ledger last year did that. And hopefully this and having the proper posting and the proper enforcement follow along with the support of the Quincy Police Department, which we very much appreciate, will gladly support this initiative. So thank you, Councilor Harris.
Thank you, Councilor Kane. Councilor DeBon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too will be in support of this. I hear the term, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So we're moving in the right direction with lowering this 5 mile per hour limit. So if we don't do anything about it, nothing's going to change. So in my personal opinion, I'm looking forward to this passing and moving forward. I live on a cut-through street. It's continuously, and you guys have been very helpful with when I make a call, you guys come right out, do it in the morning, do it after work. But you talk about volume. Now that the weather has gotten better, I see a lot more frequency and volume of cutting through these neighborhoods. And obviously, people have talked about the MBTA and the construction of that. You'll be seeing more and more cut-throwing happening throughout the city of Quincy with what we foresee for the future. So I think this is we're going in the right direction with this. I just wanted to ask a question to you, if I could, Madam Chair, is if the speed limit is 30, can you give a ticket for 31, or you have to be 5 miles per hour over the limit? How do you obtain a ticket? What is deemed? Because sometimes I know on the highway, if it's a 55 mile per hour limit, you're usually given at 65. In a residential or thickly settled, you're at 30. When are you giving tickets out? I mean, we go to 25, you're going to be giving them out at 30. What's going to be the enforcement law of that?
I will tell you, there's no written rule as far as enforcement. I think that situational elements would dictate when and how a ticket will be given. Is it a bright sunny day we drive pavement? Is it raining, wet leaves on the ground? What time of day is it? Things like that. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, not just that you're X amount of miles an hour over the speed. I think that would be a very narrow awareness.
So other variables, other factors will deem whether you're going to be giving a ticket out or a warning or whatever the case may be.
Correct. And I think education is a big part of it. Is it verbal? Is it a written warning? Is it a fine? So, but it's not just that you're 2 miles an hour over the speed. That would be a single factor.
I think another factor also, and I heard Quincy spoke earlier, Irene, is the bicycle infrastructure that we now have. And I'm a strong supporter of it to get people out of the vehicles into other sources of transportation, whether it be bicycles, whether it be buses, ferries, whatever the case may be. So to put in these new bike lanes and be deemed 5 mile per hour lower, I think will be very, very helpful to slow people down. On the enforcement side, I know what you're going to do, but on the signage, what is going to be the steps moving forward for signage? And do you have any idea if you put it into, now that it becomes a new law or rule, do you put new signage up because of that? Or does that stay the same as what's in there?
I believe that would state law, correct?
Yes.
So that would be up to the state to change all the signs from 30 to 25. The city would have to work with the state, I believe, to change all the signs.
Okay.
So is that answered?
Yeah, that's pretty much answers. I just, some of the signage that is out there right now, you don't see a lot. You just know you're in thickly settled. It's pretty much 30 miles per hour. We know that. But I don't see a lot of signage out there. So,
One way or the other, right, whether it's 30 or it's thickly settled area, either side.
okay.
Right. work, I'm sure, with the state, the city, to correct that, or we can publicize that too,
Sure.
through different types of media, so that people know we can change.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'll be in support of this, Councilor Harris. Thank you.
I'm going to stay on the side, Councilor Crowe.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Good evening, Mrs. McCusker. I want to commend my colleague here, Councilor Harris, for bringing this forward. I think, the general sentiment across the body, when we go right down the line through number 9, will be, these are real life issues that we're dealing with on a daily basis. And a lot of the times, speed, we think we settle there, but as you know, we do this every day, negatively impacts quality of life. So the way that I see this is just another, resource, whereas, my former colleague Kaufman put it on tool and toolbox for you folks to use. I have had some success, working with your department and some of that newer age technology that actually tracks speed limit and motorist behaviors. We've had some success with that. Councilor DeBon actually kind of took my question because I was more wondering around what is the thought process of posting signage? I'm not going to make it repeat it because I just heard it. But, that's certainly something up in the Ward 2 district where we deal primarily, a lot of it with senior citizens, right? And motorists using the backside of these high-density senior housing is, cut-throughs or runways or speedways or whatever we want to call it. And, anything that we could do to kind of heighten the awareness and, two folks in that neighborhood that, that's pending the vote, new speed limit is in effect, I think is imperative. And I know that the department, I think the department does a fabulous job on multiple issues, but I also know that I get a lot of calls from residents, inquiring about speed traps, for lack of a better word, right? So what's the department policy about we're really having an issue? Like say, for example, the Upper Pennsylvania section. In the morning, you get folks coming from Braintree, down Franklin Street, over to the highway, across Hillsborough Street, over to the highway. I mean, I understand why the driver's behavior would be such, but how do we work best with you to kind of, eradicate that reckless behavior and speed through the neighborhood? What's the policy? What's the process? What's the protocol?
I think one of the best things we can do is to educate people. So we use social media. It's a huge thing now with people. We can get it out there. And first you educate people. I don't like the word speed trap. We're not trying to trap people. We're not out there to,
Right.
we're not a revenue collection agency. I want to educate people so it becomes a way of life for people. Because when you travel through these neighborhoods, you know that it's 25 or 30 or whatever it's going to be. And it's just the way they do things. It's just the way that people act in those neighborhoods. So I don't want to say that we're trying to trap anybody. We're out there
Let
to
me put it
educate.
this way, how do we change behaviors, reckless behaviors?
Change reckless behavior. I would
For
think
motorists, right?
education and then enforcement, if necessary. Education will be the first one. Information. That this neighborhood is now 25, slow down, and then education.
So when you say education, so the speeding motorist goes up over Franklin Street and cuts down Hillsborough Street, how do we educate them, particularly if they're out of town? Is it we pull them over and say, geez, Mr. or Mrs. Motorist, we want to aware that the 25 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood is, the speed limit probably should be 20. But is that a form of education or is that more of enforcement?
That's a form of education. I think that's probably one of our first steps, is that, and it has been to me, is to let people know that the first time I want to educate you on what's happening in this neighborhood, our policy, our speed and clear change in this neighborhood, and the way of doing things, and then we take further steps from there. That doesn't work.
And the best point of contact is through traffic arm of QPD?
Yes.
Yeah.
So physically, the officer being there and speaking with people.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just good to know. I mean, again, I appreciate the sentiment behind the, what's before us here this evening. I just, want to make sure that it has some staying power, right? And actually corrects those behaviors that we all deal with. I mean, we're not a city unique to speeding motorists, however, we do have two toolbox. Hopefully we can help educate folks and, manage the situation for a successful outcome. So, thank you for chiming in this evening, and with that, Madam Chair, all set.
Thank you, Councilor Crowe. Councilor Lee.
Good evening. I too will be supporting this ordinance. I want to thank Councilor Harris for bringing this into the body. I think it's a great first step in improving the issue we have with traffic and pedestrian safety. I'm just going to work off of Councilor Crowell's question with enforcement, because this is a step, yes, but the enforcement, of course, is another piece to it. And over where I am off of East Bonham Street and William Street, that first house right as you come around that corner. And I'm sure as my neighbor, Councilor Finn, can attest to this, the amount of accidents with people coming around that corner because they fly down either from Glacier Drive, coming along the beach, or coming off of the Quonset Bridge. When you come off the Quonset, actually, I know you don't like the term speed trap, but there are sort of sporadic officers sitting there just watching the speed limit. And so I've noticed over the years, living in the North Quincy area, that as you come off the Quonset, when folks are coming from the highway going, 45, 50 miles an hour, as soon as they get onto that Glacier Drive area off the Quonset, it's an instant slowdown of all the cars around. And whether or not an officer is there, you see that it sort of happens, because I think, again, we're talking, of course, in probably 10, 15 years, there's always a cop there, once a month, once every other month or so. And so I understand that education is, of course, an important piece of this, but to what capacity do we have to possibly create enforcement in that way, where we can sort of sporadically put patrol units on the same streets over and over again for the course of months, years, just to build up that mentality that folks will know, hey, even if they don't know what the speed limit is, they know they have to be mindful of their speed as they're going through those areas. So again, not to dismiss the education piece of it, but on an enforcement side, what capacity do we have to maybe explore that option?
Well, we have the motorcycles, and we have a traffic unit that would certainly post at specific areas. And if information and education isn't working, then there will be enforcement. And like I said, it's been the policy of the Quincy Police, and it will be in the future, that we will enforce the speed limits in the city. I know exactly what you're talking about when you come around that bend. It's either the state police or the Quincy Police right there.
And you guys have been great responding to the number of accidents that we've, unfortunately had to call in, seeing them, witnessing them there. But again, there's only one tiny bit of it, and specifically coming off, again, the Quonset Bridge, and you have that long stretch of road. Again, I think it's going to be really helpful having cops. You don't know when they're going to be there. It's not every Saturday, every Sunday, every weekday after work, but because they have been consistently over the course of, a decade or more, I really think it's made a difference. And again, we can work on both pieces of it together, the education piece and also finding roads after, if this does go into effect, if we're finding that there are certain problem areas across the city that continuously happen, it could be a possibility to work with the police department and sort of setting up, maybe not permanent, but long-term, officers standing there just sort of monitoring the activity.
I think that's a good idea. And then people don't get there's no set pattern to when we're going to be there.
Right.
Like I said, they automatically slow down anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Hughes.
Thank you. Good evening, Officer. I'm
Here.
Hello.
I'm Councilor Forrest.
That's Councilor Forrest. Thank you very much for coming up. I'm going to be supporting this. I want to thank Councilor Harris, thank all of my colleagues for being in support of this. I, like everyone here, have also experienced the incredible volume of traffic increasing here in our city, and just recently have experienced that the information education piece is key when there are changes to traffic flow or directions in the city. Being someone whose street just underwent some changes, on Willow Ave and that whole area there, I took it upon myself to educate, inform some motorists who went the wrong way, and that I probably shouldn't have done it, but look, I thank the Quincy Police for coming and enforcing some of those new guidelines that we have in that particular neighborhood, because I do think that being a presence there of enforcement, but at first educating folks to what's going on is important. But I would just urge you, again, to send some folks that way in the next couple of weeks, because enforcement has really been the key to making sure that people aren't going the wrong way, that they are maintaining a reasonable speed. And, you know, again, it's sad to say that even though you inform and educate a lot of folks, some of them who live in our city, who just, you know, use the same streets, not everybody is coming from another city to go travel our streets. But it's too bad that unfortunately, as much as we educate and inform people of what's the law and what's appropriate in a neighborhood, they still continue to do the opposite. And it's very frustrating as somebody who, you know, who gets up every morning and tries to get in their car, leave for work, or put their kids on the bus, or get their kids out to school, and they see this blatant disregard for our safety and our laws and our speed limits. So I thank you and the Quincy Police for being down in that area over the past couple of weeks, and I know the neighbors appreciate that, but they're looking for some more engagement there, and hopefully you all could provide that to us in the coming weeks, just again, because they think with the summer coming, people are so you know, engaged outside and being outside more and traveling more. They see a lot more motorists on the street, and look, it's just a tough time, and if you would continue to keep up the enforcement in that area, I know we would appreciate it, because we're seeing results when that happens, and I think we're going to see more if that continues. So if you just take that as a note of that.
Absolutely. Like we said, we have been down there, we will continue to be down there. I think in that particular spot, we've done the information and education part, now it's strictly enforcement there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I got a couple of people you could enforce it with. I see every day do it. So if you have any trouble finding them, you know, knock on the door. All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilor Calhoun, would you wrap it up?
Thank you. Usually people say after I've already begun talking.
Yes.
Listen to the other ward councilors, and I think how I'd like to have those problems. I think no one has as much cut-through traffic as West Quincy. We are literally how you get, other than perhaps a bit of Ward 6 and a bit of Ward 2, we're how you get to Quincy through West Quincy. So it's I'm happy to support this. I think it's a great initiative.
The gateway.
We're the gateway board, right? I just think, you know, in my years on the council, I've often said this at community meetings, and it's frustrating, some of the stuff that we have to deal with the way people drive. You know, people choose to drive like jerks to save, you know, 5 minutes on their commute or 2 minutes on their commute by zipping down a residential neighborhood that makes everyone in the street feel unsafe, that they can't let their kids go outside, you know. Yeah, and you know this isn't a conversation.
I know. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
It's so frustrating.
And we can't legislate common sense up here. I wish we could. Otherwise, you know, we could make some great improvements. We can't. People are going to continue to drive like jerks, and that's why we luckily have you know, the QPD out there to do enforcement. And I'm not trying to catch you off guard. So if you don't have an answer to a couple of questions that I have, feel free to. We'll circle back around. But how many members do we have in our traffic enforcement division?
There's 3 people that work on the day shift in traffic, and on the motorcycle side, and the SU is 10 of us.
And so I'm trying to think, the last couple times that I've requested special enforcement due to neighborhood issues, traffic-related issues, it's been officers on the motorcycles. So we deploy them routinely as part of traffic enforcement.
It's one of our functions, yes, is traffic enforcement.
Okay. So how many, if you had to estimate, how many man-hours are we putting into traffic enforcement in any given week or month or?
I wouldn't have that answer off the top of my head.
That's right. Sorry, I wasn't trying to. It's not a, you know, I'm not trying to stump you. I think that's important to know. You know, moving forward as we kind of look holistically, we're talking about a traffic study, we're going through the budget process. We're talking about traffic mitigation along with the TPAL department, traffic parking and lighting department. And I think we are. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're very reactive in terms of traffic enforcement. We go out to where the problems are. You guys may not be, but I don't see everywhere you are in the city. Do you keep a list, like a rolling list of hotspots that you circle back to on a regular, semi-regular basis, or how is it, how do you guys determine where to go out?
We get complaints from all the city councilors,
We call them concerns.
from the constituents to you, they come to us.
Yeah.
We get people, citizens, contact us directly and make complaints, so we try to answer those directly to people. So that's how we handle
And
it.
then I'd imagine there are certain intersections that you just know you could go down and there's always need in certain places.
Right, major needs.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here, Lieutenant. Thank you, Councilor Harris, for introducing us. Be happy to have the support. Thank you.
Thank you. I commend Councilor Harris for bringing this forward. Traffic and parking are two of, just hot topics, always current complaints, and definitely a frequent flyer passing requests on for information for the traffic radar collection for my ward. One of our biggest complaints that we hear, of course, is Google Maps and Waze, and it's diverting traffic through the residential neighborhood. So if there's any solution as to how to, amend these technologies to keep people on the main streets and out of the neighborhoods, that would really be a major win for the city, because that's really, particularly in my district, coming off of, say, Quincy Drive, Frankfurt Parkway, the technologies is diverting a lot of them through the neighborhood, and of course the local knowledge of how to save a minute. But it really isn't saving a minute. You're interrupting kind of neighborhood character, right? So deep in some of the peninsulas, maybe your kids are still in the neighborhood, was out tonight playing hoop on the street, still play some street hockey. But now you're talking about areas that were traditional neighborhoods having cut through traffic now coming through and changing that character. So with that, we have a motion for approval, and I guess I need a roll call vote.
Positive recommendation.
Positive recommendation will come out of committee. All in favor?
Aye.
With that, motion to adjourn. We do? My apologies. I thought I appreciate Councilor Finch getting from me earlier, and thought that had been taken care of. Councilor 2017-055, we are running right up against the Council and Finance Committee meeting.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, on this was authored by Councilor Kane and Councilor Kroll, order for a home rule petition amending Chapter 64, Section 3A of all right, we will do that then. Okay, so we are up against the council time. I thought we could get through this fairly quickly. We will recess the ordinance committee meeting